has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
All right, we go into the final hour here on C2C on a great college basketball conference tourney Thursday, and it's all night long. It literally is going to go on until you pass out. But right now, FAU's up 6 on Charlotte with 7:44 left in the second of the American Athletic. Wake just lost. North Carolina covered 68-59. Heels get it done. I think they're in the tournament now. Now they'll play Duke. New Mexico up 63-49, 10 seconds left in the Mountain West in Vegas. Houston up 62-51 on Colorado, 8:40 left. A&M down 3 to Texas early second half, about 45 seconds into the second half. Miami of Ohio up a bucket on Eastern Michigan in the MAC. And those are the only live games as we head for home here. Now, there's a lot of games tonight that are just fantastic all night long.
All night long, indeed. Four Horsemen style, of course, with all of this going on. Fordham, George Washington going to start any moment, by the way. You talked about that one earlier. George Washington minus 6.5. And the Boise Aztec game starts in about 25 minutes as well out at the Thomas and Hack.
I have to watch that. I honestly, I really, I'm biased. Obviously, my son goes to San Diego State.
Right.
I am a huge San Diego State fan. In fact, I like them better than Indiana now because my Hoosiers bend over and KY jelly so much. I'm on the Aztecs here. I'm rooting for them. I always am rooting for them. I think the Dutch Oven's done a great job in San Diego. Great coach, great basketball school. It's certainly not anything else. They got a lot of chicks there, and they got basketball. That's all they got. They got nice weather, chicks in bikinis, surfing, and they got a basketball program. And I hope they can beat Boise a third time. It'll be tough, though. Boise's favorite.
Yeah, that's gonna be a violent game. Boise and San Diego State.
I'm worried because how are they favored? They beat them twice.
And listen, Boise's playing for their lives. They're in the last 4 out on most of these bracket people's predictions right now. So Boise needs to win a game here, a big game against San Diego State, try to get themselves on the other side.
Screw them.
If you're an Indiana fan, you're rooting for San Diego State tonight. That's who you're rooting for. I gave Boise another loss. All right, tonight, let's go. Big Ten in Indy, the night session. First game will be Iowa. How about Iowa winning Sunday to get in the Big Ten tournament and then beating Ohio State last night? Now, tonight they'll play Illinois, and they're catching 10.5. USC, after the double overtime win over Rutgers, they're going to get worked by Purdue. I see that up to 10.5 now also.
I like Iowa and the Sticks, and I like Purdue to handle USC. Double overtime last night, and then you run into this team with that backcourt and with that coaching, and USC stinks. Rutgers should have beat them. They didn't, and now tonight they're going to get theirs served up cold.
Big 12, the night session in Kansas City. First game, Baylor, after a win last night against Kansas State, will play Texas Tech. Texas Tech minus 6.5 here. Kansas needed overtime to beat UCF last night. They will play Arizona minus 2.5 for the Wildcats.
I'm very leery, Mike, about laying 6.5 points in a tournament game. I don't care. It's, in Kansas City, I feel like Drew's Baylor team will cover the number against Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is way better than Baylor this year, but it doesn't mean jack in these conference tournament games. To me, it's too many points. I think it'll be a war, that Baylor-Texas Tech game. Baylor has nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Nothing to lose. I like Arizona tonight too. By the way, I think Arizona's going to beat Kansas in that second game. I know that was that coach earlier selling you Kansas against Arizona.
Was that the other game you had up there? Because I'm flustered, as you know, from the Marquette game.
Yes, I know.
I'm on Arizona with you.
Okay, very good. ACC tonight in Charlotte, the night session. A couple big spreads here. Stanford After surviving Cal last night, they will play Louisville in the first game at 7 East. Louisville minus 10.5. SMU will play Clemson after beating Syracuse last night, minus 6.5 for Clemson.
Yeah, I don't think Louisville can win by 11 points. I'll take the 10.5 with Stanford.
Yeah.
And then I think SMU will cover against Clemson. I think that will be a 2-point game. That game's going to be so good, it's going to overtime.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on Stanford, by the way. I think that's way too many points for how close these tournament games have been. SEC tonight, Mississippi State and Missouri in the first game. Missouri minus 3.5, 156.5 to total. And if you think that total's big, how about Oklahoma and Kentucky? Kentucky minus 6.5, and I see this one 161.5. I see a couple books at 159.5 now. It's been banged down a little bit.
I actually am chalk here. I like Missouri and I like Kentucky. And I want to add one other thing. San Jose State covered against New Mexico. They lost.
Yes.
And Northwestern, unless I'm crazy, I think that they covered. Wisconsin did not cover 8.5. It closed at 8.5. It wouldn't have covered at 7.5, which is what it was at all day long. They led that game the entire way by double figures, and they won by 7. Every game is screw you when the buzzer goes off. You're just losing money every time. It's like you got it in the bag until your girlfriend cheats on you. I mean, it's just automatic. Northwestern with no air conditioning, they just covered.
Now they get to go home. They don't even get to enjoy the air conditioning.
Go home.
For another
Go home. Take your ball.
Big East tonight. DePaul beat Georgetown last night. Tonight they get Creighton. Another fat number, 12.5 for the Blue Jays. And then this Villanova-UConn game. You talked about this with Coach earlier. These two played 2 close games this year. I think 6.5 is too much. I don't like this Villanova team, but I might take them tonight with this 6.5 against UConn.
Yeah, because every game at the Garden is crazy, so I think that number will cover. And then I think Creighton will beat the living shack out of DePaul tonight. They're going to get a beating. I mean, belt to ass.
Here's a couple more of the late night ones now. We're going to spread things out a little bit. At the Mountain West, of course, we have a few more games there. After that San Diego State game, you're going to have Nevada and Colorado State. Big game for Colorado State. They're another bubble team. UNLV and Utah State is the late night game. The Big West in Henderson. The Gauchos, after a win last night, will play Cal State Northridge. And Cal Poly is taking on UC Riverside in the late night game.
All right, so first of all, Riverside is going to win and cover. I like Northridge, fault line style, laying the 3.5. And then I like Nevada and the points against Colorado State in Vegas. I think that will end up being another game that's decided at the buzzer. And I like UNLV, and I got them at 8 against Utah State. Now, look, I'm hanging my hat on UNLV because they're playing at the T&M, playing in their building in Vegas. It's going to be lit. And they beat them by 3 at the T&M this season. And they played them tight at Logan. UNLV's better than you think they are. And let me tell you this. The fact of the matter is that Utah State won all these games. When they win 25 games, they never lose. But they lost to Vegas in Vegas. So give me Vegas.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
it's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
So, going through all of these games, it's just never ending, and God bless it. You got another rack of ribs for me?
I actually do have one more for you. We've got some WAC games and the American Conference for the night session. Seattle will play Abilene Christian. Tarleton State will play Cal Baptist in the other game there. And then at the American, Tulsa and Temple in the first game of the evening session. UTSA catching 4.5 against East Carolina in the night session.
Wow, this is brutal. I like Abilene Christian in the 5.5. And then, what is that? Tarleton Cigarettes against Cal Baptist. I like Cal Baptist there. I like Temple over Tulsa, and that East Carolina game, right? I like East Carolina over Texas San Antonio, and I think where I want to see where it opened. It opened at, I laid 3. It's moved to 4.5. I got it at 3. I like the Pirates laying 3, but now it's 4.5. So whatever. I'm sure the 4.5 it'll cover on a half-court shot. I mean, something will happen like crazy. It's got to. The Roadrunners, they got to cover the 4.5, but I laid 3 with East Carolina.
The only stragglers I believe I don't have a board for on the racks are there's those 2 MAC games in Boardwalk Hall with Mount St. Mary's and Marist, and the early games, Manhattan and Iona, a rivalry unlike any other. Western Michigan and Kent play tonight. New Mexico State and Ferrell State. So there is a few other stragglers that are there.
Okay, wait. I like Marist, and then I gotta go with Ferrell State, and I'm on Kent State's gonna destroy Western Michigan. Is that another one? And then I want no part of Morgan State and Howard. I mean, honestly, I like Manhattan over Iona, and I think that's it.
There you go. We got it all in. All of the games for tonight. Just a massive night of college rack. for us this evening to get involved with. And we're also still watching all these games that are happening right now. We're not going to forget about them. That FAU Charlotte game's actually real good, 52-50 with under 4 minutes to go. If you're involved,
and so
and
is
Texas A&M.
the Texas. Yeah, that game, the Texas A&M game, is fantastic. Now Houston, they're up 72-58. That game's the 18 and the hook is still live, but the game's over. They're going to win. There's 3.5 minutes left, and Houston's going to win.
But
it's
the not over for some of us. It's not over for some of us here. See if Colorado can get this missing free throws. I mean, these kids are just brutal. Missing free throws. You just can't have it.
Yeah, but the best game, I don't know, the best game has got to be the Charlotte FAU game. It's a 2-point game with 3.5 minutes to go. And then the other games all have too much time left. At A&M, you can pick that up. There's still 13.5 minutes left in that game.
Yeah, you can get that at the end of the Charlotte game if you wanted to. All right, we do have NBA tonight. I know it's college basketball heavy, but we do have a lot of NBA that we have to get to. Thunder did beat the Celtics last night, 118-112. Big night from your boy. I mean, when doesn't he have a big night, quite honestly with you? You know if Oklahoma City's going to go and get themselves a win in Boston, that it's going to be behind SGA with 34 points. He was getting tough buckets all night long on ESPN.
Off against Brown. No whistle. Oh, he got it to go! SGA on the JOB at the buzzer.
Yeah, listen, watching that game was fantastic. I can't get enough of watching the Celtics lose, and it's even better when it's at the Garden, and they shut up that PA announcer, and he just has to sit there and talk about Shai Gilgeous and your boy Abe Lincoln just dropping buckets. That was the best thing I've seen in a month. I love when they lose. Like, honestly, I want to touch myself.
Well, it was the best thing maybe because I know you were probably up watching this late night as well.
I was.
Overtime in Portland between the Knicks and the Trailblazers. Final seconds with the Knicks down 2 on MSG.
To inbound. Knicks break. Hart gets it right back to Bridges. Bridges puts up a three. Bang! Bridges wins it at the buzzer. What a finish!
Yeah, I mean, it really was incredible. Nice shot, too. I think that one of the things I'll say is I was watching the game, and the refs missed so many calls, like the traveling. I mean, this guy took 15 steps before he shot it. So all I know is the refs are awful, but it didn't matter. The Knicks won. Screw Portland. Screw them.
Now, did you see the stuff before the game with Bridges saying that he talked to Tibbs about they're playing too many minutes? Did you see all that hubbubaloo? Well, they asked Tibbs about it, and he basically said, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Well, we never had a conversation about it, but the facts are the facts, and when you look at our team and the way it works is. Jalen plays 35 minutes. He's in the top 20. I think he's 20th or 21st in minutes played. Cat is a primary scorer. He plays less than Jalen, so he's like 25th in the league in average minutes. Your wings play more, right? So they're matched up with primary scorers. So the way it works is if Jason Tatum is in the game and Jaylen Brown is in the game, OG will be in the game and McHale will be in the
that
game.
Action going.
When those guys go out, they go out. When they come back, they come back. You try to keep the matchups.
I think he's getting plugs. He had none there. Like he had 4 strands. He's got at least 100 there. What is happening there with his head?
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's upgraded a little bit up top. Small upgrade for him.
I mean, there was nothing there. It was literally the Indy 500, and now he's got like.
We got games tonight.
No stone unturned on coast to coast.
No stone unturned.
play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. He's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. Listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail, but I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH, and Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise where they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so that GW is 19-13 on Fordham, 11 left first half. The A&M is Aggies down 3, 11 and a half left in the game. Halftime, Eastern Michigan and Miami, Ohio, 29s. Houston up 11 with 1:37 left in the Big 12 in Kansas City. And now FAU's up 3 on Charlotte in a great game in the American Athletic. And, I mean, it is end-to-end with the Owls. They got a guy on that team. He must be 7'4", FAU, this white boy. I mean, he's clearly from, like, Serbia or Czechoslovakia or something. His name is, like, and then, but he's enormous. He's like, I mean, he's 7'9". I don't even know what I'm looking at. This guy's so big. Like, I'm like, give him the pill. Rock. And he was making shots.
Give it to the big guy.
He's getting there. He's involved. He's white. He needs a tan. Anyway, where are we at here? This is craziness. This hoops craziness.
Colorado's got it to 9, by the way. I mean, they're not going to win. It's 111, but they're looking like they're going to cover that fat number. That streak with Houston with the double digits looks like it's going to live on here against the Buffaloes. We put it up on the Ferrall app too. We had the Buffs and my boy Tad rocking that 18 and a hook today. Hawks beat the Hornets by 13 last night. The Raptors beat the Sixers. Clippers won in Miami. Rockets beat the Suns. One thing I want to mention about that, did you see the Suns were fighting again? Remember they had the KD with the guys on Memphis the other night? And then, did you see, who did they get into with last night? Steven Adams? There was a Steven Adams
you don't want to fight with him against, who was the guy that he was fighting with? It was Plumlee, the Indiana guy.
Plumlee. He's like dragging him away, giving him the business.
Now, we covered. Wait. We covered the Raptors, covered the Clippers, covered the Rockets, covered the Jazz. What didn't we cover last night?
The Jazz did cover, but they didn't win. 122-115. Ja Morant icing it for Morant late on FanDuel Sportsnet.
Ja.
Backdoor, Bain. Shot clock at 3. Morant for 3. Yes, sir! Right between the eyes. And the Grizzlies go up 5 on the Morant triple.
I'm a huge jaw guy. That's my guy right there. And he gets it done, man. It don't even matter if they win or whatever, where they are in the standings, because Ja just puts on a show. He's a showman.
That's what he is.
More than our boy Marcus Stroman, too, I might add.
Yes. The Jazz were fined $100,000 for violating the NBA's player participation policy. For all the guys that sit and never play, the Jazz get bagged for this because of Lauri Markkanen. I mean, get serious. Fine. I mean, on it. The guy hasn't played since February 22nd. Stupidity. Spurs beat the Mavs by 10, and the T-Wolves did beat the Nuggets last night, despite another huge game from Joker.
How about that? I watched that game, and I had it all going last night, and I was, I got to be honest, I was stunned. So they are in the mix as, like an outsider for me in the West, the T-Wolves, because, I'm high on the Thunder and the Nuggets, and the T-Wolves went in there and just really, sucker punched them right in the throat.
Yeah, they certainly did. And the T-Wolves have been playing a little better lately. They've been playing a lot better. So be careful. It's almost playoff time for all of those guys. All right. Here we go. Tonight's games. Let's do it. We'll start them and we'll finish them after the break. The Wizards are in Detroit against the Pistons. 13.5. Some big lumber here for Detroit. 234.5 the total.
They just beat them by 20. So
correct.
Yeah, I don't think they'll cover tonight. They beat them by 20, so now they think we got this in the bag, piece of cake, no problem. They won't cover the number tonight.
How about these kids crying on the Colorado sideline? Like, well, I mean, what did they think was going to happen here this week? Did they think they were going to win 5 games and get to the tournament?
Crying, honestly,
14 and 20.
But it's every night. Notre Dame, Pitt. These kids are crying. You know why? Because they're all spoon soft, like crybaby, like they're spoon fed with their yes. No one ever tells them no. You're not allowed to yell at them anymore in college or in high school. You got to treat them like babies, so they are babies.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
So Texas in that game, I think they were getting 5.5. They were at one point. It opened at 6.5. They were getting 5.5 when it closed, and they're up 6 with the ball. And there's 8.5 and rolling left in that game. And the Aggies have a problem on their hands. I told you at the start of the show, I like Texas and the number. And I think when you showed it, it was at 6 and went to 5.5, right?
Yeah, and look, Texas is one of these teams we talked about coming into this week. They needed to make some noise to assure themselves
now they're up
a
9.
spot. I mean, they beat Vandy, and if they can finish this off, beat Texas A&M, those are 2 big wins for them that will probably, especially with teams like Indiana and Ohio State losing, probably push Texas to the right side of the who's in and who's out list. That's for sure. All right, we'll keep our eyes on this. They're up 9-8, just over 8 minutes to go. Lakers tonight are in Milwaukee against the Bucks. This is the first game of the TV doubleheader this evening. Bucks minus 6.5, 224.5 is the total.
Well, I mean, the Bucks have not been winning either, right? Like, they've been struggling. They lost to the Pacers Tuesday night, and they've lost 3 straight. I think that it looks so obvious that it's Milwaukee that I'll take the Lakers in the 7. I think this game, for me, is going to be the Luka show, right? They got no LeBron. I think Luka and Reeves are going to go off in this game tonight for L.A., and they're going to give the Bucks all they can handle. And it's on TV.
Yes, it is. We've got the Nets in Chicago against the Bulls. Bulls minus 2.5, 230.5 is the total.
Yeah, I got it at 1.5, and I bet on the Bulls and Giddy, Kitty, and Kobe White. I think they're playing great ball right now all of a sudden. And they're not that shabby, and they're in a playoff spot. So give me the Bulls. I think they'll get it done on the west side.
Orlando is in New Orleans against the Pelicans. Minus 2.5 for the Magic on the road here. 215.5 is the total.
Oh, God. I like the Pelicans and Zion. I mean, he had a triple-double. He's had 2 of them in the last 2 weeks. They're getting points at home. The other night we bet against them when they were getting 7, and they won by 7 against the Clippers. Give me the Pelicans again in Nolans at the Act.
That's what I'm thinking. And they didn't play last night, and they're not playing tomorrow, so that means Zion's playing tonight. So I'm with you. I think he's hot. I'm going with the Pelicans. And finally, the second game of the TV doubleheader, the late-night game, the Kings are in Golden State against the Warriors. Warriors minus 6.5, 233.5 the total.
Well, I think it's dangerous. I think the number's dangerous, but the Dubs have been winning every game they play since they got Jimmy Lymphoma, and they are on a 7-game homestand. Game 3, they've won the first 2. I think they win again and cover against the Kings. It's going to be scary because that number 7 is dangerous when you got Levine and DeRozan on the other side. But give me Curry and Lymphoma and company to get it done. By the way, I think Kuminga comes back tonight, so that's why I'm betting on him. That'll add to their they're pouring buckets in all night. Get Kuminga back in the mix; they'll be even tougher to deal with.
There you go, NBA. For you tonight. Plenty of games to get involved in. And by the way, the Lakers playing in Denver tomorrow night, too. So they're playing in Milwaukee tonight, in Denver tomorrow. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. They have Luka listed as a game-time decision tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't play Luka tonight. I know that's that line, that's 6.5 with the Bucks
they're just
losing
going to
3 in a
save
row.
him for Denver, and they're going to lose that game either way. And so I think tonight's the night to win.
Maybe you're right. Maybe they go tonight and make sure they get themselves a W because they're so
Are they
tight
both
with the
on
Nuggets.
national television? Is that game tomorrow on national television?
It's on NBA TV at 9:30. It's an NBA TV game, so you get to watch it there. How about some hockey?
Everybody loves hockey.
Everybody does love hockey. Detroit beat Buffalo 7-3 last night. Buffalo stinks. I mean, they can't end the season fast enough at this point. The Canucks beat the Flames 4-3 in the shootout. Utah did beat the Ducks 3-2. You had the Ducks with a goal and a half. I was a little too greedy. I tried to get the Ducks on the money line, and it didn't work out for me, so nice job by Utah. Let me give you this. It's rare that I would give you a Seattle-Montreal highlight, especially at this point with so much going on. But when somebody does something historic, you got to give them a little gas. Brandon Montour of Seattle, the fastest overtime winning goal in NHL history. Kraken TV.
If you're just joining us, thank you, but you have missed a lot. So don't do it again. Off the draw. Here it is. Montour. Right in. He scores! Hey, hey! What do you say? 5 seconds in. Brandon Montour wins it in overtime.
No wonder they don't sell beer after the second period.
They don't sell beer after the second period. It ended up being 4 seconds there. I know John does a great job for it, but it ended up being 4 seconds for that. For it. Yeah. All right, how about the hockey for this evening? We'll start it and then finish it after the break. And the first game I'm going to give you is actually a big game. The Panthers and the Maple Leafs in Toronto tonight. As you look at the standings, Scotty, Toronto sits 2 points back of the Panthers for first in the Atlantic Division. Florida road favorites tonight, -135. The Leafs at home, plus $1.15 and a 5.5.
Yeah, I'm on Toronto tonight at Scotiabank, north of the border. They'll tie them for the division, and this is a huge game for them on their home ice. They'll get it done.
Ottawa now in one of the 2 wild card spots in the Eastern Conference. They're in the first wild card spot with 73 points. We know where the Boston season is going. They are in there tonight. Ottawa now, I got it up to -2 Bills. Boston plus $1.70 now and a 5.5 total.
So Boston just beat the Lightning and the Panthers. So why not beat the Senators tonight and give me $1.52?
Speaking of the Lightning, they're in Philadelphia against the Flyers. Road favorites for Tampa, -$1.55. Flyers plus 130 now, 5.5 the total.
I like the Lightning here. I think they're loaded and ready for bear.
It is hockey night at the PPG in Pittsburgh as the St. Louis Blues are in town.
In Pittsburgh.
It's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. The Blues, though, are the favorites on the road, -$1.25. Plus 105 for the Penguins at home and a 5.5.
I mean, the Blues have gotten points in 11 of their last 13 games. It's spank time tonight in Pittsburgh. They'll beat the Penguins.
Yeah, they are only 2 points back of the last playoff spot in the Western Conference now, St. Louis, with all the work that they've been doing lately. Vegas lost at Pittsburgh the other night. Tonight they're in Columbus against the Blue Jackets, -190 now. Plus $1.60 for the Jackets at home. Very good home team. 6.5 the number.
We always take the sports Jackets at home, son.
I mean, look, you're going to give me a team that's 26-4 at home, and you're going to give me plus 160 with them? I'll take a shot with the Jackets tonight in that spot. The Oilers, of course, are on the New York area road trip. Tonight's stop is at the Rock against the Devils. -140 Edmonton road favorites, plus 120 for the Devils and a 5.5.
I like the Oilers tonight at the Rock.
We'll come back. I've got 3 more for you, including the Rangers in Minnesota. The Caps are in LA against the Kings. And then we'll get into a few other things as well before we get out of here. So
Can we get a big blue shirt win on the road tonight in the wood?
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so there's 3 games left in hockey that we're talking about here.
There is 3 games left in hockey. By the way, Texas A&M trying to get a little closer here. I know you're probably a little ahead of me, but I got 62-57 with 7 minutes left to go. So
I turned it off. I went to the Aztecs and Bronco game on CBS Sports Network. I have to watch San Diego State.
Rangers are in Minnesota against the Wild, St. Paul tonight. Rangers a very small road favorite. I know it was a pick 'em this morning. I've got Rangers at -115 now. Wild -105 and a 5.5.
I like the Rangers tonight. I have no idea why.
The Capitals are on the California road trip. They smashed Anaheim. They got a big third period. They ended up winning 7-4. They're at the Crypto tonight against the Kings. Kings -125 now. Caps +105 with the 5.5.
I think the Caps are incredible, but the Kings don't lose at the Crypt. So I got in front of them with that Vancouver win at the Crypt. And other than that, I go LA Kings at home in Lipstick City.
And finally tonight, late night at the Shark Tank, the Blackhawks are in town, two of the worst teams in the NHL. Sharks favored. You don't get that often. -125. Blackhawks +105 and a big 6.5. Give me the over. 2 bad teams. Lots of goals tonight. Let's go.
You know what's funny is that the Blackhawks are actually better than the Sharks. I'll take the Hawks on the road at $1.04 at the Tank. They actually have, 3 more wins than San Jose? That's when you know you suck.
Yeah. That's when you know you suck.
Chicago's so bad that San Jose's worse. That's how bad the Blackhawks are, that the Sharks are worse. Go figure.
There you go. Hockey.
Everybody loves hockey.
Tonight. Everybody does love hockey. All right, baseball. We're getting a little closer to the start of the season. In fact, the Tokyo games, Scotty, are coming up early next week. And I'm going to have you a little bit of news about that in a moment. But I want to start with this Tampa Bay Rays thing. Don't you remember for the 9th time we did that they got approval for this big building, this $1.3 billion stadium that they're finally going to have a new home in Tampa? Yeah, well, they're not going to do that now. The Sternberg's not going to build that stadium. They're not moving forward with it. Instead, they're going to focus on getting the Trop, which had the roof torn off of it in that hurricane, of course, in the fall. to get that functional for 2026. They're playing at Yankees Place in Tampa at Legends Field this season in 2025. This is kind of like an extension, Scotty, of that story we did earlier this week, that Manfred and other owners are trying to get Sternberg to sell the team because of probably this. They want guys in there that are going to build that stadium to $1.5 billion, and he don't want to do it now for whatever reason. So that's why there's this struggle of power with the Rays ownership.
So do you believe that they're going to move to Nashville or to Portland? I mean, if they're not going to build a stadium in Tampa, why stay? Because the one they play in is absolutely destroyed. And on top of that, when they fix it, it'll still be a dump. It's like putting paint on a home that's been destroyed by fire. Like, I mean, honestly, what are you doing here? Like, that stadium is the worst. And they're going to fix it for what reason? It's already outdated and terrible. And no one goes. I mean, they used to make the playoffs every year, and it's embarrassing, that ballpark. And where it is in St. Petersburg is embarrassing. It's not even Tampa. It's not. It's St. Petersburg. Do you think they should move to Nashville or to Portland, which has decided to build, multi-billion-dollar Shangri-Las? That's what the baseball money guys want.
Well, it sounds like that's the problem here, is that apparently Sternberg wants to maybe move to one of those places, and the politicians down there are mad at him. This was the third time they thought they had a stadium with him, and it hasn't gone through. Obviously, baseball and Rob Manfred want the team to stay in Tampa Bay. They want a team in that market for whatever reason. They want a team in that market. So I think that we are far from over with the end of this down the road, to see what happens with the Rays.
Let me just add this. I believe that the scene at Legends this summer will be a disaster. Now, I know that they're planning all of this. Let's play all the home games early before the summer storms hit, because every day in South Florida, either on the Gulf side or the East Coast, it doesn't matter. At 3:30, 4 o'clock every day, it starts pouring rain like you have never seen. It's automatic. It's every day. I also know from living there that, like, if they think that it just stops raining at 5 and never rains again, they're imagining things, because I've lived there and it'll start raining at 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 or 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. I guarantee you, without provocation, that entire scene of them playing in Tampa outdoors at Legend Field is going to be an abortion. The entire summer, they're going to have 25 rainouts.
Well, they have tried to, and now I don't know how well this is going to work for them, but they tried to kind of finagle their schedule to the point that they're going to be like on the road, like for all of like April and May. Like, they're trying to get out of some of the months when the rain is the heaviest. They only have 11
in the summer, not in April and May and June. Yeah. It gets bad in July, August, September.
They're on the road almost. They're playing early. Like, they open with, they're playing like 14 of their first 17 at home in Legends Field, and then they're gone for a long time, and then they come back. That's not feasible for a whole year. There's 11,000 seats in Legends Field. Now, look, they are only drawing 8 or 9 at the Trop anyway. But
Sacramento will work. Tampa playing at Legends Field will not work.
Probably not, I would have to say. 5-point lead for Texas with 5.5 to go. 65-60. Aggies are in this.
And we got them at 6.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Everybody loves leftovers.
Everybody does love leftovers. In fact, really quick, 3-point game now in Nashville for Texas and Texas A&M. So the Aggies are trying to get involved here and come back if they can. All right, rest of the baseball. Yamamoto and Imanaga are both going to start for the Dodgers and the Cubs. That is the opener in Tokyo, like 5 a.m. Tuesday morning. Is when that will get going. So baseball right around the corner. In fact, the real opening day is 2 weeks from today is when you will start to get everybody cooking with baseball. Injuries, as always, in spring training. Bobby Witt Jr. left the Royals game yesterday. He took a fastball off the forearm. The good news is it's just a bruise. X-rays negative. We shall see. Red Sox starter Lucas Giolito. He's going to start the year on the IL with a hamstring strain. Never good. You talked about Nashville before. They're already making hats. A little premature, no? I mean, they're making hats already for the team. There's your hat, the Nashville hat. I know you wanted to see it.
They're attractive, actually. They look fresh.
They are. The Red Sox documentary on Netflix. Like, God, do we need more Red Sox documentaries?
Well, honestly,
but this might be worth watching because you follow them around losing all year. No, this is them following last year's team, which was awful. So you go watch them lose all year on the documentary. That's not the worst thing in the world.
I'm not going to watch anything on anything Boston ever on Netflix.
Understandably so. Quarterfinals of the Champions League are now set. Arsenal will face Real Madrid. Bayern will face Inter Milan. PSG will face Aston Villa. And Barcelona will face Borussia Dortmund. Of course, in that one. So the final 8 of the Champions League in the mix for us there.
Is that my Dortmund, black and yellow?
Yes.
The Dortmund? That's what I'm rooting for.
They're playing Barcelona. Very tough quarterfinal for them against Barca.
Is Lewandowski on Barcelona now?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Screw him.
He is on. I know. Nick Saban drew multiple FCC complaints from fans for cursing during College Game Day this past fall.
Whoa.
He did a lot of bombs on that show. I don't know what he was doing. You figure after the first couple, they would have told him, Coach,
I mean, they swear on that network now all the time, every day. Tune in. It's all
very
day,
true.
every day they cuss.
That's very true. And finally, they're trying to get a WNBA team back in Detroit, and Eminem is in talks to be part of the bid that brings the WNBA.
Slim Shady.
Yes. Didn't they have a team? They did, right? Remember wasn't Lambeer the coach of the WNBA women's team?
Well,
all right. Well,
I don't know. I know he was a coach in the WNBA. I don't remember, nor do I care if they ever had a WNBA team. I just wanted to say that. But anything that Eminem is doing, I'm a fan of. I like Marshall. I think he's quite the trip. And I used to go on his channel all the time, as you know. I used to do sports reports on the Eminem channel when I worked at Sirius XM, and I had a lot of fun there. Ferrall finish, Tekashi 6ix9ine, the freak, says that the feds raided his mansion and guns and drugs were seized. He did mention that he did nothing wrong, except having a bunch of guns and drugs in his house. High school track runner charged with assault for beating a competitor with a baton. You know, when they hand off the baton, Carver High, in the 4x race, my man was not having it. So he just started cranking some dude in the head with the baton. Idaho becomes the first state to prefer death by firing squad for executions. This is fantastic. They are now lining people up on death row and having 3 people from 15 feet away shoot them in the heart with shotguns. This is awesome. Prom dress heist ends in a violent brawl outside a Georgia gas station as the victim flips and body slams the suspect after a chokehold move all over a prom dress. I told you, Carver High, prom season in full effect. You can't have prom brawls breaking out. Long Island drug dealer indicted for dogfighting and selling enough fentanyl to kill more than 65,000 people. Just a sidebar, he was running a dogfighting ring while he was killing people with fentanyl. GTD is next with the Kevin Walsh. Get my app, search Ferrall. It's the American thing to do. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. He's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise where they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.